Mrs. Joy, thank you for taking time out during your campaign to be with us.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Now, can you tell us what was the main issue that encouraged you to run for Congress in the state of New York?
Yes, I can. I'm running in New York's 20th Congressional District, and really the main issue for me was last year when New York State passed the Reproductive Health Act, which allowed and legalized abortion up until the time of delivery. And I was very concerned at the trajectory of our state, and then seeing it also happen and playing out at the federal level with many representatives falling in line and doing the same thing.
Such an important topic and to take a stand against. And as we look at the primary races tonight, they seem to have come down to socialism versus freedom.
That's exactly right.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. They really are. They've come down to literally between a choice between socialism and our constitutional freedoms. I mean, look at the Democratic debate stage right now. They want open borders. They're trying to take over the entire healthcare system. They want to infringe upon our Second Amendment. They want to push a $93 trillion Green New Deal on the people, wiping out, the gas industry here. Thousands of people would be out of work. They're infringing on our religious liberties. And again, as well, we're seeing abortion up until the time of delivery, viable, healthy babies. So socialism doesn't pay. And we want to be able to vote and preserve our constitutional freedoms, our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So would you please tell us about the newly passed law in New York State? It's called the Bail Reform Law and the results of that.
Bail reform is a disaster here in New York State. And as a matter of fact, it has passed exactly 1 year after the Reproductive Health Act. And what the bail reform law does is basically it gives an entire list of crimes that people are no longer being held in jail for. So while the criminal may be arrested, they're being immediately released. Well, what are these crimes? I mean, we're looking at crimes on this list like rape, assault, vehicle homicide, criminal possession of a firearm on school grounds. These things are strangulation. These things are very dangerous, especially for domestic violence victims, because what's happening is when these crimes are committed, they're being turned right back out onto the streets of New York. We've seen an increase in crime in New York City. It's really a dangerous thing for the citizens that live here. It's dangerous for our law enforcement. It's beginning to hurt our economy, and actually I believe it's going to impact tourism as well.
Wow, these issues are so important, and that's why we need people like you in Congress influencing our laws. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I'm glad because I'm actually very optimistic, believe it or not. I believe that people are waking up and that they do realize it's a choice between socialism and preserving our constitutional freedoms. And when people go to the polls, that they would think about the fact that socialism really does take away from an individual's right to be able to do anything like pursue life, liberty, happiness. And we want to preserve that. The best thing that we can do for the next legacy coming behind us, our children and our grandchildren, is give them a country whose constitutional freedoms are strong and intact. That's why I'm running for Congress. That's what I'm going to be fighting to do in Washington, D.C. And so I hope when people go to the polls that they remember that. And if anybody wants to check out my race, they can go to joyfornewyork.com, joyforny.com. I'm running right here in the heart of New York State to bring our voices and values into Washington, D.C.
Well, thank you for being with us again tonight, and it's been very enlightening. We wish you all the best on your campaign.
Well, thank you so much.